Martin had always been the type of person who needed something to obsess over. It was an unspoken rule of his life, a driving force. For the longest time, it was his work. Long hours spent at his desk, a small tech firm that kept him tethered to his computer like a lifeline. But when the company collapsed and the redundancy notice came, he had to find something new. He found it in darts. It started innocently enough with casual games at the local pub. Just a few rounds to pass the time, a harmless way to unwind. But before long, he found himself obsessing over the angles, the release, the spin. He studied the technique, spent hours at the dartboard, honing his precision. It was something to focus on, something to fill the void. Soon enough, it became all he thought about. It was the only thing that gave him a sense of accomplishment. He entered tournaments, not expecting much, but quickly climbed the ranks. His mind, trained on the mechanics of the throw, began to sharpen. At the start, he played for fun, but the stakes were higher now. He was good, damn good, and that had a price. As the wins stacked up, the pressure mounted. The adrenaline from victory was fleeting. The emptiness between victories gnawed at him, eating away at his sanity. He needed more. He had to keep winning. The tournament that really pushed him over the edge wasn't even the biggest one. It was just a small local competition. But the room was packed. It felt like everything hinged on that game. And when the final throw came, when the bullseye was there for the taking, he hit it. He stood there in stunned silence, the noise of the crowd ringing in his ears like a muffled echo. From that moment on, it wasn't just about darts. It was about him, about proving that he could keep winning, that he could keep being the best. But the victories no longer satisfied him. With each success came an ever-deepening sense of dread. The darts started to feel heavier, his hands sweatier. He had to keep pushing forward, had to keep throwing, even when his body screamed for him to stop. One night, after a particularly grueling match, he stood in front of his mirror, staring at his reflection. His face was gaunt, his eyes sunken. He hadn't slept properly in days. The stress of the game had slowly seeped into his mind, distorting his perception of everything. The sound of a dart hitting the board was now a constant hum in his ears, even when he wasn't playing. He rubbed his face, trying to shake the feeling that something was wrong. But the mirror didn't lie. He had become a shell of the person he used to be. He had no friends anymore, no hobbies outside of the game. Just the throw, just the victory. The competition was relentless, and no matter how much he won, it was never enough. His obsession with darts had consumed him, mind and soul. The tension built in him like a pressure cooker. Each match became more than just a game. It was a fight for his very identity. His thoughts swirled, distorted. The throws began to blur together. His hand, once steady, started to tremble. He felt as if he were losing control of his body, as if the game had taken over him. His nerves were shot. He could hear his own heartbeat in his ears as the final rounds of his matches became a cacophony of anxiety and frustration. It wasn't just about hitting the bullseye anymore. It was about making the perfect throw every single time. One mistake could cost him everything. Then came the night that broke him. It was a regional final, the one he'd been working towards for months. The lights were blinding. The crowd's cheers felt distant, like he was submerged in water. The dart felt heavier in his hand than ever before, as though the pressure of the moment had been distilled into that single fragile object. His opponent was a seasoned player, one who had already won more than his fair share of titles. But Martin was determined. He threw with all his might, but the dart veered off course, landing just outside the bullseye. The crowd gasped. The pressure mounted. The room seemed to close in around him. Another throw, another miss, then another. His hand shook violently as he gripped the dart, but his mind was fogged. He couldn't focus. He couldn't think. Each throw was like an eternity. The final round was upon him, and he had one last chance to redeem himself. He took a deep breath, his vision swimming. He threw. The dart flew through the air, spinning slowly, and landed just outside the bullseye. It was over. The game was lost. And for the first time, Martin didn't feel relief. He felt something worse. He felt like he was fading away. The world around him seemed to shift. His mind was fractured, splintering. He had thrown his last dart. The victory had become a curse, and the weight of every failure, every throw that missed its mark, came crashing down on him at once. As he walked off the stage, the cheers around him felt hollow, empty. He didn't belong there anymore. He didn't know where he belonged. He had given everything to the game, but in the end it had consumed him. The sound of darts hitting boards echoed in his mind like an incessant drumbeat. It would never stop.